Good evening, my friends, and welcome to another episode of Terror Radio Podcast. If this is your first time joining me, then welcome. This is a podcast dedicated in bringing you the best of horror and thriller, old-time radio broadcasts, as well as original stories. I am your host, Keith, aka the Radio Show Nerd, and I want to wish everyone a belated Happy 4th. I had originally planned on recording an episode yesterday, but as you can tell by the sound of my voice, nature had another plan. There's nothing better than having a cold in the middle of a heat wave, but hey, life goes on. I was originally going to call this episode, Sometimes It's Better Just to Mind Your Business. Yeah, way too long. So I'm going to go with, What Did You Hear? So, without further ado, this is Terror Radio. The two radio series highlighted tonight are Suspense and Inner Sanctum. Our first radio play is entitled An Evening Diversion, and it was first broadcasted on the 4th of July, 1946, on Suspense. Following that is the radio play Pattern for Fear, and this was first broadcasted on the 4th of July, 1949, on Inner Sanctum. Now, you all know the drill. Sit back, turn down the lights, and listen to An Evening Diversion, followed by Pattern for Fear.
Now, Roma Wines, R-O-M-A, made in California for enjoyment throughout the world. Roma Wines present Suspense. Tonight, Roma Wines bring you Mr. Leon Ames as star of An Evening's Diversion, a suspense play produced, edited, and directed for Roma Wines by William Spear. Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills, is presented for your enjoyment by Roma Wines. That's R-O-M-A, Roma Wines. Those excellent California wines that can add so much pleasantness to the way you live, to your happiness in entertaining guests, to your enjoyment of everyday meals. Yes, right now a glassful would be very pleasant, as Roma Wines bring you Leon Ames in a remarkable tale of suspense.
It was literally just what the doctor had ordered. There wasn't anything in particular wrong with me, just feeling a little edgy. And I went for a routine checkup.
How many hours a day do you work, Mr. Edwards?
Well, I don't know, Doctor. I never kept track.
Get home for dinner very often?
Not lately.
Grab a sandwich at the drugstore and go on back to the office, I imagine. I got a lot of patients like you. The ulcer type of business executive, I call you.
You mean I...
Oh, no, you haven't an ulcer yet. Just overwork, nervous strain. A month's vacation is what you need.
But, Doctor,
Yes, I know they all say that. I'll tell you what you can do, though.
Yes?
Done wonders for some of my patients. An evening's diversion.
Oh, I don't work late every night. Why, I took my wife out to dinner in the theater only last week.
Oh, I don't mean that kind of diversion, rushing home and putting on dinner clothes, fighting for a table in a restaurant, rushing on to the theater. That's work, too, I know from experience.
Well, then what do you mean by an evening's diversion? Dropping in at the club for a thrilling game of chess?
Oh, that's no good either. You wind up talking business. No, what I have in mind is something different. Go out on your own. Go someplace you wouldn't normally think of going, then relax and see what happens.
Well, now, look here, Doctor. I'm a married man. I can't...
Oh, then you aren't likely to get in any serious trouble.
So, that's your prescription. Well, really,
No,
Doctor,
don't misunderstand me, Mr. Edwards. There's more than one kind of adventure to be found in a city this size. Well, you'd be surprised exactly what
Well, of course I didn't take him seriously. How could I? In the first place, I didn't have time to go gallivanting around to strange places looking for trouble. And in the second place, I told myself I was too old for that sort of thing. I made a mental note to find a sensible doctor who would prescribe some pills the way a doctor should, and went on back to the office. It was after 5 when I got there, and I could have kicked myself for wasting an afternoon like that. There was a stack of briefs on my desk I hadn't even looked at. That meant another late night. Hello.
Hello, dear. It's
Oh, hello, Lily. Look, honey, I was just going to call
now, Paul, you're not going to tell me you're working late again tonight.
you. I'm afraid so, darling.
Oh. Well, I suppose there's no use arguing with you. Did you see the doctor?
Yes, I saw him.
What did he say?
Oh, the usual nonsense. Said I needed an evening's diversion.
Well, he's quite right. You do.
Maybe so. Anyway, I'll be late, so don't wait up.
Paul, do you absolutely have to stay at the office tonight?
Absolutely.
You couldn't possibly get home just a wee bit earlier.
Not a chance.
Oh, dear. What time do you think you will get home then?
Oh, around 11:30.
Oh. Well, there's milk in the icebox if you're hungry when you get in.
Thanks, honey. Good night.
Good night, dear. Now, don't work too hard.
No, I'll try not to.
Yes, Mr. Edwards?
Oh, I'm working late again, Lois. I don't suppose you'd be interested in earning some more overtime?
Well, frankly, not tonight, Mr. Edwards. I'd like to help out, but I've stayed every night this week, and I'm just dead. I don't see how you do it.
What do you do on your free evenings, Lois?
Oh, go to the movies sometimes.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes my boyfriend and I just drop in someplace that looks interesting and just relax and see what happens.
Well, what happens?
Sometimes nothing, sometimes all sorts of things. Once there was a shooting right in the place where we were sitting. Gangsters.
Well, that doesn't sound very relaxing to me.
Oh, but it is. I mean, you get in a rut kind of going to the office and home again day after day.
Uh-huh.
I couldn't stand it if there wasn't some excitement now and then.
Have a good time this evening.
Thanks, Mr. Edwards. Anything you want me to do before I go?
No. Good night. Oh, Lois.
Yes, Mr. Edwards?
What was the name of that place where those gangsters were?
Oh, let me think. Oh, yes, Parachino's. It's in a basement, sort of, over on Rod Street near 3rd.
It must be quite a place. Good night again.
Good night.
After she'd gone, I opened a folder and started to read one of the briefs. But I couldn't concentrate. It was stuffy in there. I got up and crossed the room and raised the window. I stood there for a few moments, looking out at all the vast city spread out below me. A warm breeze was blowing from across the river, bringing with it a disturbing smell of trees and damp earth that mingled with smoke and fumes and fetid air of the city and seemed to breed a kind of excitement. Well, suddenly I remembered that I had missed lunch and I was hungry. So I walked out into the corridor of the building and started toward the elevator. I hadn't bothered to get my hat. I was only going out for a sandwich.
Go on, Doc. Oh, it's you, Mr. Edwards.
Good evening, Joe. How's everything?
Oh, you know. Can't complain. Going home?
No, just downstairs for a sandwich.
Oh, man, you sure put in the hours, don't you?
Oh, I don't mind.
I guess your work must be pretty interesting. Man, if I didn't do something besides run this elevator and go home, I'd go nuts.
Well, what else do you do?
Oh, I don't know. Seems like there's always something. Just walking around the city is a heck of a good time as far as I'm concerned.
You might have something there.
Yeah. Well, here you are, Mr. Edwards.
Thanks, Joe. See you in...
Yeah, I know. In 15 minutes.
Yes, No. By George, I won't. I won't go back. Something in his tone of voice must have decided me. He wasn't just a fresh kid. He was really sorry for me. When I got outside on the street, that air hit me again, that warm summer air. I started walking, not paying any attention to where I was, just walking and enjoying that wonderful air. I must have been walking for nearly an hour before I noticed where I'd got to. It was Rod Street, and up ahead was a flickering neon sign. Pirocino. The place was bigger than I expected and stark empty. There were double rows of booths down the two sides of it and a high partition in the middle. In the gray overhead lighting, it looked like an abandoned stable. I was on the point of leaving the place when a sloppy-looking waitress appeared from nowhere.
Just you alone?
Yes,
This way.
Look here. It seems as if I've come in at an awkward time. And...
Early for dinner, but you can have a sandwich.
Oh, well, all right then.
This booth all right?
Yeah, fine.
We got ham and Swiss cheese, and that's all.
That'll be fine. On rye.
Both?
Yes.
It won't be long.
I sat there watching her as she slouched down the narrow aisle of booths to the kitchen. Then she was gone, and there was nothing to look at. The silence in the place was beginning to get me. Then I heard the door open and steps coming down the stairway from the entrance. Sitting down, I couldn't see over the top of my booth, and I didn't have the curiosity to stand up. They went down the aisle between the booths on the other side of the room. They were both men. One had metal cleats on his heels.
In here, huh?
The whole row of booths shook when they sat down. They were apparently rather heavy men. When they started talking, I could hear them as plainly as if they were sitting across the table from me.
I told you this place would be empty.
Why couldn't we talk just as well in your room?
I like it here.
Well, what do you want?
My cut of that 50 grand?
Don't rush me.
What happened? Same dame double-cross you?
I didn't say that.
All she's got to do is slip that stuff in this coffee. Why don't she do it?
I'm seeing her tonight.
You've been seeing her every night for 3 months. What do you talk about?
I'm doing this my own way, see?
You're nuts about her, ain't you?
What if I am?
Bad business.
Yeah, you don't understand a dame like that. It takes time with a dame like that.
In the meantime, maybe she gets tired of you and spills the whole caper.
That's my lookout.
Oh, no, it's not, Maxie. There's me to think of, too, and the rest of the boys.
Okay. I'll give her the final pitch tonight. If she stalls me again...
You know what to do, Maxie.
Where's that slob of a hash slinger? I'm hungry.
I'll buy a big feed, Maxie. Uptown afterwards.
What makes you so sure I'll have to kill her?
Oh, my God.
Nothing, Maxie. Just a hunch. Come on, let's get out of here. One thing more, Maxie. Take the subway. No taxis, you hear?
Why, my goodness.
Here's your sandwich. Want anything with it?
No. Never mind. I've got to leave right away. Here's for the sandwich and keep the change. I caught up with him near the corner of 7th Avenue. I knew it was him because of those metal cleats on his heels. I followed him down into the subway. He walked up to the end of the platform. I waited where I was. It was as hot as a furnace down there. My heart was pumping fast with excitement, and I could hardly breathe. But this was doctor's orders, an evening's diversion. I walked to the far end of the platform. He didn't look around at me. When the train stopped, he went in through the center door. I went in by the door at the rear of the car. Inside the train, I saw him for the first time in a good light. He was well-dressed, almost too well-dressed. He must have felt me staring at him. He didn't look my way, but he began to jitter. He kept jiggling his right leg and looking at his watch. He wound it, and then he put it to his ear. I studied him. He was more than nervous. He was worried, perhaps frightened. He unfastened the top button of his shirt and loosened his tie. He looked over at me once or twice as if he knew me but couldn't place me. He unbuttoned his coat and tried to relax. But I knew that he couldn't relax. Not with a gun holster under his coat.
For Suspense, Roma Wines are bringing you a star, Leon Ames, in an evening's diversion. A radio play by Stan Schlesinger. Roma Wines' presentation tonight in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense. Between the acts of Suspense, this is Truman Bradley for Roma Wines. When you finish work hot from these blistering summer days, you deserve something cool to come home to. And what could be more refreshing than the frosty luxury of Roma Wine and Soda, iced, America's smartest, coolest summer drink. For Roma Wine and Soda, so good, so cool, so refreshing, is the perfect summer thirst quencher. On a moment's notice, you can serve and enjoy Roma Wine coolers, delicious as a family treat, delightful for entertaining, too. Just half fill a tumbler with Roma California Burgundy or any other fine Roma wine of your choice. Then add ice. Fill with sparkling water and stir. If you prefer a sweeter drink, simply add sugar. Presto! Your Roma wine cooler is ready to enjoy. And because Roma draws upon the world's greatest reserves of fine wines, a cooler made with Roma is bound to be better tasting. So, for cool, satisfying refreshment, enjoy Roma Wine and Soda. Insist on Roma, R-O-M-A. Remember, More Americans enjoy Roma than any other wine.
And now Roma Wines bring back to our Hollywood soundstage Leon Ames as Paul Edwards in An Evening's Diversion, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. The train stopped at the 59th Street station, and he got up to leave. I followed him out of there. We got off the train, and he hurried across the dark, deserted platform. I walked slowly so that he wouldn't know he was being followed. He went to the rear of the platform and into a phone booth. His call didn't take more than 3 minutes, and as he came out, I thought I saw a faint smile on his lips. I flattened myself against the wall, hoping he wouldn't notice me, but he lit a cigarette and walked right over.
Something I can do for you, mister?
What?
I said, is there something I can do for you?
No. That
You're
is...
following me, aren't you?
Well, now, see here, I don't...
Shut up. What are you, a dick?
What?
A flatfoot, a copper.
Well, no, I'm not.
You're following me.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about.
You got on at the 8th Street station. You
Really?
followed me when I got off here. You watched me when I went into the phone booth.
Well,
And now you're on my tail again. What's the game? Maybe I'd like to play.
No, you play with guns. I don't.
Pretty sharp guy, aren't you?
Well, you must have a guilty conscience.
Let's leave my conscience out of this. Just keep away from me, you understand? Keep away or you'll get hurt.
Yes, I think I understand.
I hope you do, for your sake. Now, here comes a train. I'm getting on it. You're going uptown, you'll wait for the next one.
Yes, all
I
right.
don't want any funny business, mister.
Oh.
You'll find I've got no sense of humor.
He ran for the train, and as he ran, a scrap of pink-colored paper fell from his pocket to the platform. I made no move to pick it up. He was watching to make certain I didn't board the train. At last, the train started. I waited until it was out of sight. People were still clearing the platform. I was about to pick up the scrap of paper when a man hurried by and kicked it to the tracks below. I had to have that paper, so I jumped down to the tracks. There were dozens of papers down there, but only one pink-colored scrap. There was an address written on it, 375 Highland Drive.
Hey, you! What do you think you're doing down there?
Oh, I'm sorry, officer. I dropped an address down here, but I found it.
I don't care if you dropped your old lady down there. You're not supposed to be down on the track.
I know, but
now get out of there, but fast. Here, grab my hat.
Thanks. I didn't mean to break the law, officer, but it was important that I get that paper.
Yeah, you're up. I ought to run you in for this.
But I hope you won't.
What if you was to get hit down there? You'd throw the whole train schedule off.
Well, I wouldn't want to cause anyone any inconvenience.
Okay. But don't let it happen again.
Outside, I hailed a taxi. This time, I was lucky. I got one.
Hop in, mister. Where to?
375 Highland Drive, and hurry, please.
The traffic is kind of heavy tonight. I ain't got wings, but I'll get you there as fast as I can.
I'll make it worth your while. It's a matter of life and death.
Yeah, I know.
I'm telling you the truth.
Hey, mister, I ain't gonna argue with you, but I've been driving this hack for 10 years. I've heard that song before.
All right, then, don't believe me. But for the love of heaven, please hurry.
Okay. I'm doing the best I can. Yeah, it's easy for you guys to hop in a hack and say, step on it. But, I get awful tired hearing the same things. You know what I mean? Oh, I guess you wouldn't. You look like the kind of guy who wouldn't let himself get in a rut. But not me. Every day...
Well, why are you stopping?
Red light, mister.
There isn't time to stop for red lights. I've got to get to 375 Highland Drive, and I've got to get there before it's too late.
Relax, mister. She'll wait. See, where was I? Oh, yeah. Yeah, like I was saying, things get pretty dull for a hack driver. Sometimes I think to myself, why not forget about it for a little while? Go home, get the wife, get the kids.
The taxi seemed to crawl along, and the driver kept talking. I couldn't understand a word he was saying. His voice, the rattle of traffic, the ticking of the meter, and the beating of my heart all blurred into one great din. It seemed that the driver made every stop sign. The cab was getting stuffy, and his voice began to feel like red-hot needles were penetrating. Shut up!
Huh? What?
I said shut up.
Why, nice guy.
Why are you stopping? There's no red light.
No, there ain't. I'll shut up, okay, if you pay up and get out.
Get out.
You heard me. I don't like your attitude. I may not be much, but nobody walks on me. Now get out.
But I'll never get another taxi.
Stop. You're breaking my heart.
Oh, you fool. This is a matter of life and death. I told you that. Now, look, here's $5. Get me to $3.75.
Mister, $500 wouldn't get you to the next corner as far as I'm concerned. Now, you going to get out or am I going to kick you out?
Look, I'm sorry. I apologize. But please, you must get me to $3.75.
And here's your change, $4.50. Skip the tip and get out.
I've got your number. Your company will hear about this.
Yeah, and I got your number, too. Hit the road, brother.
I stood there for a moment, watching the taxi until it was out of sight. I was on Highland Drive, all right, but I was 5 blocks from 375. I began walking. I wondered if I would be too late. The man with the gun must be out of the subway by now. That would put him only 3 blocks from 375. I walked faster and faster until I was almost running. I knew I was becoming involved in something, but just how involved, I didn't know. If I had felt then, like I do right now, I would have turned around and walked in the other direction. As I neared the apartment house, I instinctively slowed down, not out of fear of what was ahead of me, but for what was behind me. I stopped. Someone was behind me. I didn't have to turn around. I knew who it was.
You shouldn't have followed me here, pal.
But what makes you think I don't have business of my own here?
Start walking. I got a gun in your back.
Where are you taking me?
Start walking across the street. Don't try anything. I just as soon let you have it now as later.
You're going to kill me?
You catch on fast.
But why? I haven't done anything to you. I don't even know who you are.
That's rough. Straight ahead. We're going to take a little walk through the park.
Listen, let me go. I won't repeat this to the police. You have my word.
I don't want your word. I told you not to follow me, but you did. I don't know how you did it, but you're here. Turn right down this path.
You're out of your mind.
And you'll be out of your misery.
Look, I've got money. I'll give you anything you want.
Damn it. Somebody's coming. Keep your trap shut. Let me do the talking.
Say, son, do you live around here?
Who wants to know?
Oh, me. Just wondering if you know this neighborhood.
No.
Oh, how about you, mister?
Well, I don't know the neighborhood either.
No? Well, could you tell me this much? Would, let me see now. 485 Highland Drive be in this direction?
I said we don't know the neighborhood.
Oh, you don't? Huh? Well, thanks anyway. Guess I'm going in the right direction. My feet are killing me.
Oh, hey, you,
Shut up.
Yeah, what is it?
Nothing. We weren't talking to you.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Start walking again.
Do you mind if I ask you something?
It all depends.
Just who were you going to kill tonight, other than me?
A certain party in apartment 1A.
What?
What are you going to do about it?
Oh, I was just curious, that's all.
Like a cat, huh?
Why were you going to kill this party?
This is far enough.
You didn't answer my question.
I'm through answering questions, pal.
Look, what are you going to gain by killing me?
Nothing.
But I swear
my life.
I swear
Save your breath.
Someone else is coming. You can't get away with this.
Where the devil is all this traffic coming from?
Listen,
Listen, mister. Keep your eye on me and remember I've got this gun on you. Don't try any funny stuff like you did the last time.
It's a policeman.
Cop. It doesn't make any difference to me. What I said still goes.
Nobody can talk to me like that. I'll have you know my kid can lick your kid any old day.
Shut up, I said.
Don't tell me to shut up.
Hey, what's going on here?
You keep out of this, officer.
Hey, take it easy, buddy. Take it easy. What's with this guy?
Oh, don't pay any attention to him, officer. He's nuts.
But I'm not a fathead like you flatfoot.
You don't know what he's talking about, officer. He just talks a lot too much.
You know what I'm going to do when you go?
Jump in the river, I hope.
I'm going up and down the street and break every window I can reach.
Not while I'm around, you're not. I'm taking you along with me just for safekeeping.
Okay. Oh, yeah? You and who else?
Hey, I'll take care of him, officer. I'll take care of him good.
Yeah? Well, all right. But you're responsible for it. I don't want to see any broken windows, you understand?
Oh, sure. Sure thing, officer.
Okay.
No one is going to take care of me. I'll take care of myself.
Hey, come back here. Come back here, I said. I don't want any broken windows, you hear?
I ran deep into the heart of the park. I knew he wouldn't fire after me with the policeman there. I hid in the bushes for almost 20 minutes. From time to time, I could hear his searching steps. Occasionally, he would walk slowly toward the bush I was hiding under. I was afraid to breathe, afraid to allow my heart another beat. And then for a moment, he would stop. I could easily have reached out and touched him. He was that close. Then he would go, still searching. I waited 5 minutes more. 10, 20, a half hour. He didn't return. I knew where he had gone. I knew he was about to commit a murder. I went into the apartment house through the service entrance. My legs felt like rubber, and my clothes were torn from the bushes in the park. I walked quietly up the steps to the first floor, made sure the corridor was empty, then moved to the door of apartment 1A and listened. For a moment, I heard nothing. And then that familiar voice seeped through the crack beneath the door.
So, you've decided to back out, huh?
Oh, Max, I'm afraid.
What's there to be afraid of, sweetheart?
I'm afraid for you. We'd never get away with it.
Who says we wouldn't? Just you let me take care of him. Or maybe you still love him, huh?
I loathe him, and you know it.
And why hold back? Why make yourself miserable any longer? It's you and me, sweetheart. You get that? You and me. That's the way it's got to be.
I'm sorry, Max. I can't do it. I won't.
You can't back out now.
Why can't I?
You know too much.
Oh, Max, if that's what's worrying you, I would...
That's what's worrying me.
Don't you trust me, darling?
Sure. Sure, when I can see you. That's why we've got to be together. Or maybe you want to bump him off and take all the dough yourself.
Oh, Max.
Sure. That's it. Oh, what a sap I've been.
Don't be a fool.
I'm going.
I'll hear from you, won't I, darling?
Not a chance. You won't be hearing from anyone, sweetheart.
Max, put away that gun.
I'm checking you out, Lily.
Max, listen, please. Max, listen, don't do it. I'm with you. You know that, don't you?
Let go of my arm.
Max.
Let go, I tell you. Be careful or you'll... Lily.
Max, darling, Max, I didn't mean to do it. Max, I didn't mean to do it.
Her back was to me as I opened the door. She was on her knees weeping for the man she had just killed. I walked quietly toward her, knelt down, and reached for the gun at her side. Picked it up, moved a few steps back, and waited. She must have felt my presence in the room, because she stopped sobbing, stood up, and turned to face me. Nothing was said. Her eyes were searching mine, growing wider and wider as she found my thoughts. Tiny streams of blood began to trickle from those places where her sharp fingernails had penetrated the palm of her hand. The silence of the room began to roar. And then...
Number, please.
Get me the police department.
Police department.
You'd better send someone over to 375 Highland Drive right away. Apartment 1A.
375 Highland Drive, apartment 1A, huh? What's up?
I think you'll call it murder. I just killed my wife.
Suspense. Presented by Roma Wines. R-O-M-A. Made in California for enjoyment throughout the world. Before we hear again from Leon Ames, the star of an evening's diversion, tonight's suspense play, this is Truman Bradley for Roma Wines. The 4th of July marks not only Independence Day, but also the beginning of the really hot summer weather, the sweltering, throat-parching days that melt your energy and burn your disposition. Well, here's a clever California recipe that's famous as a heat beater. To get cool, comfortable, and contented, enjoy an ice-cold, taste-tingling Roma wine lemonade. That's right, Roma wine lemonade. Delicious, refreshing, inexpensive. Now, here's how. Place ice and the juice of half a lemon in a tall glass. Pour 3/4 full with zestful Roma California Burgundy or any other Roma wine you prefer. Add water and sweeten to taste. Then sit back and sip your way to cool contentment. Roma Wine Lemonade, the most refreshing summer drink you ever tasted. So cool to come home to. And remember, Roma, America's favorite wine, makes America's finest wine coolers. So refresh with Roma, R-O-M-A, Roma Wines, America's first choice in wine.
This is Leon Ames. I hope you've had a pleasant 4th of July. I know that for me it's been an exciting holiday to appear here on Suspense. Next Thursday, I'm sure you'll want to listen when a very wonderful actor, Sheldon Leonard, appears in a suspense play called Feast of the Furies, which Mr. Spear has just described to me and which sounds like one of the really dramatic events of the radio season.
Leon Ames appeared through courtesy of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, producers of the Technicolor musical Easy to Wed. Next Thursday, same time, Roma Wines will bring you Sheldon Leonard as star of Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills.
Produced by William Spear for the Roma Wine Company of Fresno, California. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Good evening, friends. This is your host to welcome you through the creaking door into the inner sanctum. Well, went picnicking over the weekend. Found a lovely, restful, woodsy place. Oh, it was beautiful. So quiet, you could hear a body drop. And quite a few did. The sun was so hot that one of our party melted to the ground. I'd always wondered over that waxen look about Charlie. Still, it's an ill wind because Charlie had his usefulness at bat. Came the deep night, we ran a string through him and played marbles by candlelight.
Tonight's Inner Sanctum mystery, Pattern for Fear, was written by John Robert and stars Everett Sloane in the role of Ludwig with Cameron Prudhomme as Larrabee.
And now for tonight's ramble in the Never Never Land. We're in the Avalon Lounge, a fashionable metropolitan restaurant. A waiter approaches a table secluded behind an arrangement of tall potted plants. A lone patron sits at the intimate circular table for two.
Your order, sir? If you please, I will take your order.
You know what I want, Ludwig.
Oh.
Caught you unawares, huh?
I had forgotten you. In 5 years, one forgets.
Then I'll reintroduce myself. Captain Larrabee, 9th Precinct. Did you read the morning papers, maybe?
I can recommend our lobster Newburg. The recipe...
A page 1 headline says that Guthrie Stewart dropped dead of a stroke.
Men die, Captain Larrabee. Every day men die, so that new
I
life...
thought maybe with Guthrie Stewart dead and gone now, you'd want to talk about things.
You were wrong, Captain Larrabee. I have no wish to talk.
Well, in that case, I guess I'll just have to make myself comfortable and wait right here.
You're just wasting your time.
I don't think so, Ludwig. You're still suffering something in silence. Guthrie Stewart died without a word. But there's an envelope somewhere now on its way over here to you.
An envelope?
Yes, it's coming by special messenger. The envelope reads, to be delivered on Guthrie Stewart's death. Don't look so befuddled. Stewart's lawyer tipped me off about that envelope 15 minutes ago. I said I'll wait, Ludwig. What I really mean is, we'll wait.
We wait, the policeman and I, in a grim watch for the messenger soon to come. Captain Larrabee doesn't say it, but I am his prisoner. The restaurant fills up with people. And my mind thinks back 5 years to this same table for two hidden behind the plant. I remember a conversation I overheard by chance, and the terror that came out.
Are you absolutely clear on what you are to do?
Lady, murder is my business.
Very well. Repeat my instructions again.
Okay, I'm up there on the terrace outside his bedroom holding a submachine gun. When the 11:30 train comes around the curve, I shoot to kill.
You empty the machine gun into his bed. Understand? You empty it.
You don't just want him killed, huh?
There must be no chance of his surviving this time.
This time? So you tried it before, huh?
Yes. Here. The address is on the slip of paper. Read it, memorize it, and then destroy it.
When do I get paid?
Tomorrow at 6. Here at this table. I'll leave first.
I watched her leave the restaurant. A heavily veiled woman in black whose face I could not see. A man was to be murdered by a killer for hire. A killer with a cold, businesslike look. I watched him read the address, tear it to bits, drop it into the potted plant, and then push the bits of paper under the earth. When he left, I recovered the bits of paper and pieced them together. The victim was Guthrie Stewart. The address was Havermeyer Heights, in the suburbs just outside the city. A man's life was in my hands. The murder was to be at 11:30. At 10, I was in Guthrie Stewart's library, warning him. But he was only amused. And his wife, too.
So I'm to be murdered in my bed.
Yes, at 11:30, when the train goes around the curve.
Well, darling, somebody's undoubtedly heard you snore and has finally decided to take drastic action.
Well, you'll make a charming widow, Ellen, if it all comes true.
But it is true, Mr. Stewart. You joke foolishly. I overheard them plotting. See, I have here the pieces of paper the killer threw in the base of the plant. Look.
That's my name and address, all right. But what does it prove? I'm in the phone book. Anybody could jot down my name and address. Anybody. What did you say your name was again?
Ludwig Heller. I am a waiter at the Avalon Lounge. You think perhaps I wrote your name down. The way you look at me, I see you think I am a crank. Even crazy, perhaps.
Well, frankly, Ludwig, I don't know exactly what to think.
You have no enemies?
Not a one, so far as I know.
I heard her speak. A voice lusting for blood. Your blood, Mr. Stewart. And I saw him. A man without a heart. A cold machine that kills. You are to die, Mr. Stewart. Hey, hear that? The train close to your home, just as I heard her say. Yes, laugh and make jokes, but when the 11:30 train goes around the curve, you are going to die, Mr. Stewart. A man's life was in my hands, but I couldn't make the victim believe in his own approaching death. I went to the local police station to a Captain Larrabee. There I blurted out the story once more. I waited while he talked to Guthrie Stewart on the telephone.
Yes, I got it. Yes, I understand, Mr. Stewart. Sure thing, I'll do just as you say. Look,
Ludwig Heller.
Look, Heller, I relayed what you told me to Guthrie Stewart.
But I told you it was of no use to do that. He just laughs at it.
He's not laughing anymore. As a matter of fact, he's hopping mad right now, and his missus, too. Hopping mad at you.
At me?
At you. He says if you keep peddling that fish story around, he's going to prefer charges of malicious persecution.
He will prefer charges against me?
Right. In fact, he left it squarely up to me. Now, you're to promise me you'll go about your business, whatever that is. I'm to clap you in the clink for observation.
He thinks I am crazy.
He's sure of it. As a matter of fact, from the looks of you, I'm not sure you're not crazy either. Now, are you going to do the sensible thing?
Yes. Yes, Captain Larrabee. I will go home. The sensible thing. Go home. 11 o'clock. In 30 minutes, a man would die, and his blood would stain all the rest of my life, because I was powerless to save him. The sensible thing. Go home, the police captain had said. But I did not go home. I had to see death look deep into its face. I returned to Havermeyer Heights to wait silently in the shadows on the terrace and watch. He was there, too. The killer and his machine gun. A black executioner waiting and ready. But Guthrie Stewart lived. I saw them in the pale moonlight on the terrace. A shaken man and a frightened woman, both in their nightclothes, armed and unharmed, seeking the assassin, but afraid to search for him. A moment later, I overheard him on the telephone talking with great excitement to Captain Larrabee.
I don't want any publicity on it, but an attempt was just made on my life. Yes. Someone machine-gunned my bed while the 11:30 went around the curve. What? I wasn't in my bed. A dummy was machine-gunned. I fixed the bedclothes to make it appear that I was in bed, just in case that Ludwig person was really telling me something.
I melted into the night like the killer had. Guthrie Stewart was safe. I had been spared his death. The sensible thing now was to go home. But I was to have another moment with the police that night. Walking along a tree-shaded road to a bus stop, a police car suddenly flew toward me, and I was ordered to halt.
You there! Stop!
But I didn't stop. Instead, I ran. I don't know why, but I ran like the wind.
Stop or I'll shoot!
Still I ran, faster than the bullets exploding behind me. I found a neck of woods and hid. I lay face down in the earth for hours, listening to the night. And then, just before morning, I started back to the city, sneaking along the back roads like a fugitive. A curious thing had happened to me. In that night, the deep guilt I was sure the killer must feel had transferred itself to me.
Well, Ludwig, the waiter, sure got himself one big tip to a slaughter. Poor Ludwig, his errand of mercy got in the bum's rush over at the Stewart's. What do you do with a character who laughs at an advance notice of his own death to somebody else? Strangle him on the spot, I say. That way he'll positively believe you the next time you're around. Yes, a murder in time certainly saves a lot of wasted breath. Tell a corpse he's dead and he'll never dispute it for a minute. Let's worm back into the story.
The next evening, I went to the Avalon Lounge to my job, as I always did. The police hadn't called, or Guthrie Stewart. It was as if there had been no night before. But there had been a night before. The same two were at their table again behind the tall palms, as they had agreed to be. The heavily veiled woman in black and the hired killer. 5 years have passed. But I can remember that conversation I overheard word for word.
Bungler, Stewart is alive.
I sprayed the bed full of holes like a Swiss cheese, maybe 20 bullets.
But he wasn't in the bed.
Someone was. From where I stood, I could see a figure all curled up.
Well, you've got to do it all over again.
Okay. Tell me where and how.
Listen carefully. He will be at a shorefront casino in Norwalk tonight. He will motorboat there from Rye and then back the same way. You will wait at his landing pier. When he docks, You will have your second chance.
What do I do? Wait all night at the pier?
No. He always returns home close to midnight.
Which landing pier do I wait at?
Number 19. It's Stewart's privately. The motorboat he drives has a black eagle painted on it.
Will he be alone?
He usually is.
Do you have a face behind that veil?
Don't ever try finding out.
Guthrie Stewart's life was in my hands a second time, as if I had been appointed keeper of his destiny. I was there, too, with the fog curling around me just before midnight on the docks facing the Long Island Sound. I hid, but as before, the executioner stood in the fog and mist, not 20 yards away from me, waiting. There were midnight chimes, and on the water, moving closer, the sound of a motorboat returning to dock. The black eagle on the prow was hardly distinguishable. And then a figure stepped out from the boat to the pier. I saw the killer move, and I screamed, "Stewart, look out! There is a gunman!" He was in a heap on the pier, a white figure. I ran to him and kneeled down to see if life had gone completely. "Mr. Stewart! Mr. Stewart!"
That's not his name, Ludwig.
You are alive!
Very much so.
But he...
My pilot, Jameson. He got the bullets evidently intended for me. You get a pulse?
No, I don't think I do, but I'm not experienced in such things.
Then let me. He's alive.
I will call an ambulance.
No, I will. You go home.
Oh, but
Go home, Ludwig. It's better that you do for both of us.
It is better for you that I go home?
Yes. I'd like this treated discreetly. I'm an investment broker, quite an important one.
I know.
You know?
Yes, I know a great deal about you.
That's odd.
Since I have been given your destiny in my keeping, in my hands, I have familiarized myself with things about you. The next day, a heavy manila envelope came to the restaurant for me from Guthrie Stewart. The letter told me about his investment business, his social position, his fear of scandal and things. Besides the letter, there was a check. A $2,500 check for me. The police didn't come until the next night. Captain Larrabee took me to the station house. Guthrie Stewart was there, and Mrs. Stewart. Captain Larrabee was trying hard to understand things.
Ludwig, who were you before you began waiting on tables at the Avalon, and before you started to overhear murder plots?
I was just myself in the world.
Oh, quit that kind of talk. I meant, what were you?
A waiter. I have always been a waiter.
Do you have a mental history somewhere? If you have, better talk up. Might help you out of a jam being mentally irresponsible. Okay, don't talk up. Mrs. Stewart.
Oh, yes, Captain Larrabee.
On this sheet, I have some of the speeches written. The speeches that Ludwig claims he's overheard that woman make. Now, please read them in your own natural speaking voice. And read them like a woman bent on getting somebody murdered.
Captain Larrabee, you dare...
Oh, look, Mrs. Stewart, no dramatics, please. I'm just doing a job. Now read them, please.
Very well. You empty the machine gun into his bed. Understand, you empty it. There must be no chance of his surviving this time. Oh, Captain Larrabee, must I go on?
No, that's enough. Is it the same voice, Ludwig, or almost the same voice?
No. The voices are entirely different.
You can say that positively?
Yes. Also, the other woman was taller and much stouter.
Okay, that's that. And I'm not surprised. I'm sorry, Mrs. Stewart.
You should be.
Put your hands out, Ludwig.
Put my hands out?
That's right. Bracelets for you. Ludwig Heller, you're under arrest
I was sent to a mental ward for observation. There were tests, doctors examining me for weeks, and questions. And one day again, Captain Larrabee came to question me once more.
I found these certificates in your room, Ludwig. They're yours, aren't they?
Yes, they are mine.
Common stock certificates in the Guthrie Stewart Investment Company. 50 of them worth $100 apiece on their face. That's $5,000. Where'd you get $5,000 to invest in stocks?
It was my life savings.
From waiting on tables?
Yes, from waiting on tables.
The stocks took a drop, a big drop. These certificates are worth about 20 cents on the dollar today.
I know that, Captain Larrabee.
Yes, a bear market did it, some people think. A lot of big fellows squeezed a lot of little fellows, maybe. Is that how you figure your life savings were wiped out, maybe?
Maybe.
Guthrie Stewart's market operations cost you your life savings. Isn't that how you figured it? Isn't that why you came around telling him his life was in danger? To terrify him? Get money out of him for saving his life? Maybe even kill him in the end, anyhow?
I am tired, Captain Larrabee. I want to sleep now.
You're not going to answer?
I wish only to sleep now. Doctor!
Okay, stall. Don't confess you toted that machine gun up to that terrace. That it was you firing away on that pier. Play tired, play sick. Even beat the rap that way. But you'll still face charges for extorting $2,500. We've got you dead to rights on that.
No, Captain. I sent the $2,500 back. 5 years ago, I went from the hospital to jail for months without bail while the police tried to build a case. In the end, there was no evidence, and I was free. Free to be watched through the years. Like tonight here in the Avalon Lounge. Guthrie Stewart is dead. But Captain Larrabee sits with me as we wait for a messenger to come.
Ludwig Heller?
Yes, I am Ludwig Heller.
I got an envelope for you. Sign here, please.
I'll take that letter, Ludwig. It's from the grave. The envelope reads, Ludwig Heller on my death. Guthrie Stewart. Now, let's see what's inside. You know what's inside, maybe, Heller?
Yes, I think I know.
In a second, we'll both know. Doesn't say much.
Does it say, thank you, Ludwig, from the bottom of my heart?
Yes. Yes, it says exactly that, word for word. Guthrie Stewart thanking you? What for?
I have here in my pocket a letter for you, Captain. It was sent to me 5 years ago with a check that I returned. Guthrie Stewart told me to give this letter to you any time I wished. I wish now. Here, Captain.
Dear Captain Larrabee, Ludwig Heller's story is the truth, the whole truth. The woman plotting my murder is Ellen, my wife.
Not out of hatred, Captain, but out of sickness. A mind that has never been strong. She lives in darkness, and I, too, because of her. If I can keep this secret, I can live and perhaps help her. If Ludwig Heller can endure for me and carry my burden, even for a while, Ellen will be hospitalized, and we both will hope.
If Ludwig Heller has the strength.
Now, you understand, Captain Larrabee?
Those stock certificates I found in your room.
We put them there for you to find, Captain. Guthrie Stewart and I.
You did that? You took the kind of rap you did for Guthrie Stewart?
For a fellow human in distress, yes.
You let yourself be slapped around, hospitalized, jailed, hounded day and night for years, all for an absolute stranger?
For a reward, Captain. A great reward. Ellen Stewart was pronounced cured 6 months ago. I am not too young in years, but it has fallen to me, a mere waiter on tables, to bring a new life into the world. the life of Ellen Stewart.
Ludwig,
Yes, Captain Larrabee.
let's shake hands.
Stop in at the Avalon Lounge, anybody, for the town's best service a la carte. Love that Ludwig. A man with a heart of gold and a terrifying knack for business. Other people's business. Big-hearted Ludwig borrowed Guthrie Stewart's troubles and almost lost his own interest in living. Oh, that suggests a moral. I overheard this one while eavesdropping on a short-order cook in a chop suey restaurant. Fool who not mind own business always get the business.
Inner Sanctum was heard in the United States over CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System, and has been rebroadcast for servicemen and women overseas through the facilities of the United States Armed Forces Radio Service, the voice of information and education.
Well, that's our show for tonight. And I want to thank you all for listening. And remember, you can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/terror1970. Or you can find me on Instagram at Radio Show Nerd. I also have a YouTube channel, Terror Radio. Please check it out. Subscribe, like, and share the videos. Will be highly appreciated. Again, this is your host, Wolfman Jack, kidding, Keith, better known as the Radio Show Nerd, signing off.